Southern Cross's Healthy Futures report has been tracking the wellbeing of the nation since the start of the COVID pandemic, and it really provides a snapshot on how we're doing at the moment. What it found, basically, is that we're all really worried. Forget war in Ukraine, violence in our cities, or even climate change. Our biggest concern right now is the cost of living. That's for 93% of us. We're also really worried that COVID is going to make things worse. 89% concerned about the economic impact of COVID. Heaps of us are freaked out about what's happening overseas and think that that is having an impact on our overall well-being. In fact, concern about global issues is up 16% since the start of the pandemic. And we're worried about our kids. A majority of parents are concerned about how their children are going to cope with all of these pressures, all of life's pressures, and that is up from a few years ago. Finally, Kiwis are really stressed out about having enough money to support themselves and their families.
Heaps in there, and Southern Cross Chief Medical Officer Dr. Stephen Childs joins us now as we've been looking through this research. And Stephen, are you surprised about any aspect of this?
Yeah, well, probably the most surprising thing and somewhat saddened thing is that 50% of New Zealanders are not happy in themselves, feel that they're not good enough, and about a quarter of New Zealanders describe themselves as highly stressed in the last month.
Is there anything surprising about that? It's probably the most stressful time in living memory.
Yeah, that's true, but I suppose, but it is somewhat, sad. I mean, obviously we live in a society in which stresses are increasing. Cost of living is a major concern to people. COVID is a major concern. Affordable housing is a major concern. I get all of that, but it's just a shame, isn't it, that the degree of unhappiness is actually quite high in our society.
And how is all this worry and bad well-being affecting our physical health?
Well, that's the thing about well-being as well. I mean, different people define it in different ways. I mean, people who don't have children usually define well-being as their individual health and happiness and make sure they're doing good for society. People with kids often define well-being as what's good for their kids, and retirees may talk about just acceptance and being satisfied with what they've got. So it affects our health in many ways, but in different ways. And it's a self-acceptance concept, and I think many of us end up beating ourselves up about the messages that have come in and what we should be doing, and then compare that to what we're not doing.
Any good news in the report?
Yes, there's quite a bit of good news, and in the fact that things have improved. Southern Cross has been running this survey. It's the fourth time we've run it since 2019, and some things are improving. There's been an increase in access to health care. There's been a move towards trusting regulated health professionals such as doctors and pharmacists, going up by 22% for health information, and a little bit less reliance on internet, social media, and friends, and that's probably a trend in the right direction.
So is perhaps the first step to feeling better about just being aware of what's going on?
Well, it's interesting. We asked that question in the survey, and the number one thing that most people do is recognize the importance of emotional well-being. Just recognizing that well-being is physical health, is emotional health, is social health, and spiritual health. It's about the connectedness, and to not neglect the emotional health in our well-being construct.
Stephen, thanks for the advice and for taking us through this report. Appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Good God, Jesse. I don't want to downplay what's going on, but most stressful time in living memory? You don't have much of a memory, do you? You think we've been through some tough times before. Maybe not me and you.
Yeah.
We're headed that way, I can promise you that.
That's living memory.
But depression, the wars, the late 70s and the interest rates and the inflation, then the 80s share market crash. Perhaps actually what we need to do is take a step back and actually talk to our elders and how did they get through it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all just kind of drank away their PTSD. But
Free whenever you want to chat.
That's a good tip though, Kanot.